Well, thank you for the introduction, and hello, everybody. Very nice to see you. I am very happy to be here today to talk about loyalty with Claudia here.
Good morning. Are you guys awake? Yeah. All right. This room is loud typically, so I don't know what's going on. Everyone's very quiet.
Well, it was a crazy night last night, I guess.
That explains it.
So, loyalty. So, as we're moving into the new year, I guess we find ourselves at a bit of a crossroads here. And I saw a lot of people still raising their arms around loyalty programs that they have. And I guess that's the more traditional way of doing things, right? For the programs which are a bit more of a points math calculation exercise, chasing tiers and transactions and so on. But we're moving also, and that's what we wanted to talk to you about today, into a different perception of loyalty. Loyalty being perhaps a bit more human, a bit more of a state of mind, you might say. And
I would say.
You would say? Perfect. So we have a conversation then.
Yeah. But I also have I think I have the gravity to say that, right? I work for Margaritaville, and Margaritaville is a very state of mind type of brand. So yeah, our loyalty program's a little different that way.
So tell me a bit about that, because I understand, Margaritaville doesn't look at it from a points perspective. You look at it from a perks perspective.
We don't, right. So Margaritaville, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Have you ever heard of Margaritaville? Anybody? All right, good. Have you stayed at a Margaritaville? Oh, we got to work on that. But anyway, so Margaritaville is a brand that became a brand out of a song that talks about not caring, right? Escaping, being away, being on a beach, wasting away, and doing something else with your life other than working, and really just kind of watching the tourists burn and on a beach. And, it's a completely different state of mind. So Margaritaville really is more of a lifestyle than it is a product. So in that sense, we have, I think, the opportunity as a brand to create a program that had nothing to do with the transactions that happen in a typical engagement with a customer, but rather create a program that was banking on that emotional connection that people have to a lifestyle, to a different way of living, and to a different way of taking a trip and taking vacations, right? So our hotels they are by far a leisure offering. We have probably 80% of our travel is leisure, or 80% of our customers are leisure customers. So their loyalty is very different. And we talked, I just heard, I think it was Sanjay saying, I don't travel the same when I travel on business than when I do with my kids. Let's face it, when we all travel on business, we have probably a business account or some sort of expense account. So our decisions are almost made by us or for us by someone else, right? They tell us how much we can spend in a hotel, how much we should be spending on a meal, how much we should be spending in a plane. When I'm traveling with my husband, with my kids, with my family, my mom thinks she's the last Coca-Cola in this world. So she travels first class only. So it's a different environment. And my points of, all the hostage points that I hold with some of the airlines go to feed that notion that my mom is the last Coca-Cola in the world and she travels first class. So therefore, my loyalty to those brands is different than the one I hold for a company like Margaritaville, where I go and spend time and just, lay in a hammock and have a few drinks. So we kind of tended, or we erred on the side of making this loyalty program more about the experience and the guest and the familiarity that the guest has with the brand, and reward those guests with immediate rewards rather than giving them points.
Makes complete sense. And so you're the Chief Data Officer at Margaritaville. And from a data standpoint, how do you track that? I mean, there's no balance of points to look at. So how do you measure loyalty? Is it like a sentiment score? What is it?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's harder, but it's also easier in a way. You have a lot less financial paperwork to follow. Your balance sheet is very different when you're not assessing points, when you're not getting assessments from your hotels. And we are a brand. We are not necessarily an owner operator. So we don't own any of the assets. We only do the branding. So for us, really, the KPIs are very specific, right? We follow 4 or 5 very specific ones. What we do know, as we follow the program in the last 4 years that it's been alive, is that our customers are staying longer. So we do track how often they stay, how often they come. So they stay longer. They stay about 20% longer than our non-customers. They book higher rates, which is an interesting mix of, because they're not booking on OTAs, they're booking directly with us. They are choosing different categories of rooms. They're able to, I think, go a little bit further into the discovery of the brand. So they stay longer, they book higher room rates. But interestingly enough, they also spend more when they stay with us. And they spend more because one of the things that we do is by giving them immediate perks every time they book a hotel room. So if you book your hotel room in Hollywood and you're going to go stay in Hollywood, you get your perks for Hollywood immediately. So you're not having to wait until you stay 15 times and then you get something. No, like that trip, you get something. So let's say, and I always make this joke, right, is if our hotel decides to say, well, the perk for this week is going to be free nachos. I'm just saying, right? It's one of the things. Like you get free nachos at one of our restaurants and you can go and have free nachos. You're not going to wash those nachos down with a cup of water. I guarantee you that. You're going to have a couple beers, maybe 3 or 4 margaritas. You're going to get up and sing on, with the karaoke band. You are going to have a hell of a time. So the incremental value that is coming and the incremental revenue that the program is generating on a very low cost program is really what is driving the KPIs for us. And so that happens to be the flexible way in which our properties are able to direct the guests where they want that guest to go. So based on the perks that they offer, the guest has the ability to pick 1 or 2 or 3, depends on how many nights they're staying. And so when they pick something like a free appetizer, or they pick a 20% off at the spa, or they pick a free flow rider ride on the surfing machine, or whatever it is, right? Those are all experiential. They have very low kind of operating costs because it's not hard costs that the hotels are doing. But they're getting the direct booking, they're getting all the data from the customer, and they're also getting the incremental revenue. So the program itself right now is recording about 1.8% cost to the properties to give these perks to the guests, which when you compare it with a booking for any other channel, it is still the best booking they have.
That's very interesting. And I mean, it's good from a guest experience perspective. They're getting a little gift. Who doesn't like
our guests? And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
We did a lot of research at the beginning. And one of the things we ask our guests is, what would you like to get if you were part of a loyalty program? And most of our guests came back and said, we don't really care about a discount. I mean, they want to have a member rate, and that kind of is something we're working on. But they don't really care about the discount. They care that we know who they are. They care that we know what they prefer, and they care that they don't have to bank their points. They don't have to bank their dollars. They don't have to wait until the chickens come home to be able to, bank all those points and be able to take your mother on a first class flight. So that's my problem. But they don't have that. They don't want that. They rather have their perks at the moment that they're booking. And the other thing that happened in that sense is, because every guest that books a hotel gets their perks in that hotel, there is no rollover of anything. Once the guest leaves, those perks are done, and that basically that transaction is ended. So the hotels are not feeling like, I'm the one that you are earning all your points with, and then you're gonna go burn them over there in the nicer hotel, right? Like we all do with all the big loyalty programs, is we go and stay for work, and then we go burn them at the St. Regis in Miami. I don't know. But anyway, so we don't have those problems. It's a way for us to solve that problem.
Yeah, I think the earn and burn, a lot of people are moving away from it. I saw quite a few paddles raised on people not being loyal to any specific program or counting that many points. And I think the Gen Z, kind of the next generations, have a bit less patience for it. I personally, having recently moved to the States, I'm still getting up to speed with all the points and all those systems. And
Yeah,
it's
immediate rewards is the way to go.
It's
Immediate rewards and choice. Give your guests choice. They want to pick what they want. They don't want you to tell them what they want.
How do you track like that trigger point in the data that turns a guest, like just a passive guest that comes once to a loyal brand ambassador? Would you say, like, is there a specific perk that gets people?
Yes, we make the enrollment very easy, and basically we only ask for your name and your email address, and then when you enroll, then we basically perk you all the way to give us all the other data that you have, right? And we, again, we have the latitude to do that because we're a fun brand, so we have fun ways to do that. We had a campaign to complete people's profiles and sign up for the program or verify your enrollment. And so, like the email that we send our guests is, you already love us, let's make it official, right? Like things like that are a little less, I don't know, ordinary and are easier to remember. The other thing that makes the program, I think, important and interesting is it's memorable. You remember it because it's not the same thing that you see every day, right? For us, the customer, I think, is very easy to enroll. You get welcome perks. So just for signing up, you get a choice of things that you can pick. No commitments, no strings attached. You just, you signed up for us. So here you go. You get a free membership on Sirius XM Radio, which is one of our partners. That's the other thing we have as a brand is we have so many partnerships with different businesses that we are able to extend their offers, and that benefits our partners as well, of course, where we can extend offers and in different ways for the guests to engage with our different products. And so, we give a lot of that away. So,
is there any specific perk that you're seeing the most success with?
We had a second passenger sales free for about 6 months, and our cruise saw a huge lift of people booking cruises because the second person was traveling for free. So it was a fun promotion. Yeah, it flew off the shelf.
I can imagine that. That's a big benefit.
It was a big one. Yeah.
And I guess we're talking about loyalty, and you mentioned a bit about working with partners, using the points of discount somewhere else. So I wanted to cover a bit about the other players in loyalty. I mean, we have some people in the room. There's the big OTAs, the Expedias and Booking.coms of the world, and they follow a bit more of a ecosystem approach, I guess, where you earn points maybe in a hotel, you burn on a flight, and how can you really compete with that? And I mean, in the same vein, it's also the bank cards, right? You're loyal perhaps more to those than you are to a specific brand. Do you think you can kind of own both the interface with the guest and their heart, or not really? Or what's the approach there?
I think we are very comfortable with who we are. We are not competing with any of the big loyalty programs. We would be fools to try to do that, right? It is not our space. It is not the place where our customers live and travel. We also are a small brand. We have 40 hotels or 40 places where you can rest your head. We have a couple cruise ships. We have, some communities where you can go and live the back nine of your life. If you choose to go waste away at Margaritaville, you can do that. So we have different products and different experiences and a whole array of lifestyle experiences that someone can come and have with us. But we're not trying to chase after our friends at Marriott or Hilton or IHG or Wyndham or anyone, because we are not them. So for us we own the space where we can make a loyalty program, or in this case, an affinity program, more of a, for us, it's more about the advocacy. And we are looking for people who want to be part of our brand, who want to be part of our program, who will eventually advocate for our brand. and stand for us, because that is our strength. And it is the strength of this brand, and it's been for 40 years. So for us is more about owning the experience in a very human way, owning the heart, owning the memories of these guests, and helping them navigate the different ways that they can experience the same brand new every time they come. But with all the respect that we have for all of our friends and partners in the industry. So we're not competing. We're not.
Well, you've certainly carved out a good niche in the market there.
That is it. We have a very niche program, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess looking back and taking a step back on loyalty in general, and looking to the future, maybe 5 years or so from now, and we're sitting at Hedna, and with all that's happening, do you think that loyalty programs still exist, at least in their current format? Do you think they look a bit different?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the big loyalty programs are institutions, right? They're institutions for a reason. They work, they have a very specific purpose for the business and for the customer. The customer gets what they need, the business gets what they need out of that program. And those are, it'd be like saying, I don't know, there's going to be one day where electricity won't happen. That's not going to happen, right? These programs are major financial institutions, for lack of a better word. They have a huge responsibility and a huge balance that they carry with them. And that goes for airline programs, for hotel programs. They have a huge kind of burden on their hands. So I don't think they're going to go anywhere. Do I think they're going to change and morph? Sure. AI, I think, is going to throw a bit of a curve in search and how we, validate some of the points or some of the way that we have been rewarding our guests. I think AI is going to come and do a little bit of reshifting of that. But I honestly think that loyalty to brands is rapidly diluting, is rapidly getting washed off into a sameness or a notion of sameness, right? Everybody is kind of on the same pattern, and therefore the consumer is, I think at this point, more prone to veer between programs because they don't see any difference between these or that one. It's all the same. The only way that I think companies like ours can survive in an environment like that is to be very authentic, and is to be very true to our brand. So what I would say is, if you have a brand that is well known for something, latch on to that. Become what your brand is and defend what your brand is, because the consumer wants to know who they're doing business with. Otherwise, it's just a transaction, and that's fine. That's what those programs are. But loyalty is about the value of your brand and the value that that consumer is getting out of your brand. And so the only way to do that is to stand with your brand values and maintain that authenticity throughout your programming, your messaging, your offers. Everything needs to kind of be put through to that filter. Otherwise, you're just become another institution. So
strong brand.
Brand is the only way, right? But not everybody has that too. So that's the other thing is, if you're a smaller independent company or a smaller independent hotel, then you have to find a way to make a mark in that customer. And that is, by the way, the only true loyalty that exists anymore. The Henry Hotel in New York is still my favorite hotel in the whole wide world, and nobody knows about it, but it is the best hotel. So loyalty, right there. So just saying, make the mark.
Perfect. Well, on that note, I'll go check out the Henry Hotel in New York.
Check it out. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone.